Hey everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, you are probably shocked to see video on a Life is the Gamble podcast. But we had breaking news today when I got a call from everyone's favorite gambling lawyer, Bob Nersesian, and wanted to get it out there as quickly as possible. So, Bob, welcome to the new podcast, Life is a Gamble.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So you had big momentous news for mainly for professional gamblers today. So why don't we get right into it? What's happening?
Well, it turns out that in June, the Nevada trespassing statute was amended, NRS 207.200, which many of your listeners are intimately familiar with. Um, and that amendment is of some import. Also, I want to caution that this is an amendment to a statute. If you've contractually agreed not to enter into a casino, I have yet to research the effects of this amendment on that. And I think it would depend on the nature of the agreement you reached with the casino. Um, so, that being said, here's the amendment, and I'm going to read what used to be the statute, and then I'm going to read what is now the statute as of June 13th this year. Historically, the statute read, unless a greater penalty is provided pursuant to NRS 200.603, any person who, under circumstances not amounting to a burglary, willfully goes or remains upon land or in any building after having been warned by the owner or occupant thereof not to trespass is guilty of a misdemeanor. That statute now reads, unless a greater penalty is provided pursuant to NRS 200.603, any person who, under circumstances not amounting to a burglary, willfully goes or remains upon any land or in any building after having been warned during the previous 24 months by the owner or occupant thereof not to trespass is guilty of a misdemeanor. My reading of this statute says that the trespass warnings given by casinos in that are more than 2 years old are no longer valid as establishing criminal activity. In essence, they've revoked the lifetime ban and made it a 2-year ban.
Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, this is Nevada only, right? This
Yes.
only okay. And so when you were saying unless you had contractually agreed not to enter the casino, what does that mean?
Well, for example, some people have entered into settlement agreements with the casinos and signed a document that says we promise not to come back or not to go into the casino or
I
not to go
see.
on your property. Those agreements may be reliant on the then existing law or may not be reliant on the then existing law. I have not had an opportunity to research that, and I'm not opining on those at all. What I am saying, though, is if somebody gave you a trespass warning more than 2 years ago, that warning, that warning itself no longer carries a criminal effect. Okay? Even if there's a contract, I don't think there's any crime. But the contract can carry, depending on the terms of the contract and whether or not it's enforceable vis-a-vis this unexpected change in the law, can carry with it some breach of contract penalties and some other things, depending on what the casino gave up in exchange for your agreement not to enter.
Okay, so we should point out though that the point of contact for players who are getting trespassed is with security and pit bosses who obviously do not know the law. So even though it may not be a criminal act for you to be in there, it doesn't mean that you may not suffer some repercussions because they don't understand the law.
or are not aware of this change in the law. I did some, between the time when we first talked earlier this morning, Richard, and right now, I did some research and I looked for the legislative history behind this. And it is between non existent and sparse. Okay.
Do you have any idea what prompted the
I
change?
think I do. I have to read well between the lines, and this is a wag, a wild ass guess. Okay, this came out of the Judiciary Committee. I know from having appeared for years, one of the problems with the judiciary and the trespassing law is the judges at the justice of the peace level, the municipal court judges and the justice court judges are the ones faced with enforcing this law. And I have been in court when the judge looks at a prosecutor and says, well, when was this person trespassed? And they say 1997. And the judge goes, and this is still effective? And the prosecutor goes, absolutely, Your Honor, look at the statute. And the judge goes, the judge does not say this. I will say this. Oh, that's bullshit. Okay. That's the reaction to that kind of thing. And they've probably gotten fed up with it because this is all over their docket all the time because casinos are always trespassing people. And since it came out of judiciary, I'm absolutely surmising, and again, a wild ass guess, but they said, we don't want our dockets messed up with this stuff. Now, I think what's going to happen, unless the casinos are watching your program, Richard, and I actually hope they are. I don't want to keep this a secret, and I'm not looking for any extra work. But a whole bunch of people are going to rely on this statute, go back into casinos, and find themselves arrested and falsely imprisoned for committing a crime which appears to patently not be a crime under the law. So
Right.
you clear up your justice court docket, but maybe you're creating some new headaches for the district court docket.
Yeah, and it but the casinos can just trespass you again, correct? Like,
Yes, I meant to mention that. It appears that that would be the case. But for example, some of my historic clients who are card counters, they've been banned. They've been living under a trespass warning. I know one person this would apply to very much so. Um, he has historically had the ability to play incognito, but he has been avoiding playing incognito for a period of years at this time because he does not want to spend the night in the Clark County Detention Center. He did it once, never wants to do it again. So he's been avoiding that casino. Technically, at this point, it would appear that if the last time he was giving a warning was more than 2 years ago and he's no longer recognizable to anybody in security, he can, one, likely play incognito and under the radar. And if it fails, he at least has the amendment to 207-200 to say, keep your stinking hands off of me, you filthy ape.
I get the movie reference.
Yeah, okay. So that's about what I have to say. Let me know how I access your podcast, though.
Oh, okay, sure. I will send you a link. Absolutely. And thanks for coming on this morning and sharing that with us.
Well, thanks for sharing it with everybody, Richard. Good to see you again. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.